You listen to me, you go to the top. You don't listen to me, you're never heard from again.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Comic Wrestling Podcast. This is the Wrestling Ring. I'm Deadly Dave, and I have my tag team partner with me,
Ace Williams.
And today, since little announcement, we're going to be interviewing Mr. Man, who is a manager locally here, an amazing wrestling manager. I figured we'd talk about managers today. So, of course, managers have kind of died out a little bit in the business, which is a shame because I think they really added a lot to the product. So, I figure the first one we'll talk about one that's dear to me because Undertaker is my favorite, gimmick of all time, would be Paul Bearer.
Mm-hmm.
He started out as Percy Pringle, and then he got paired with The Undertaker in 1991, and I was actually going to mention that. But he was a legit mortician, so who better to be with The Undertaker than a guy that was a mortician? A dead man with a mortician. It couldn't be any more perfect.
Couldn't.
The voice that he used and the look that he had with the pale face and the black hair, it went perfect.
Especially because, I don't want to say especially, but me as a kid, because Paul Bearer was huge when I got into wrestling, he didn't look like anybody else.
No, he was completely different. And nobody ever beat him up until really late into the run.
Yeah.
They really protected him as, pretty much untouchable as The Undertaker was.
They did, and he was also, that's Kane! That's Kane! That's gotta be Kane! And Paul Bearer was right there with him. So,
yep.
All that shit.
And in 96, you had him turn on The Undertaker and go with Mankind, which added a great dynamic to it as well.
And he got a kickball thrown in his face on SmackDown. I fucking died laughing, man. That was funny.
But he even managed Vader for a while, which was really cool. He was essential to the storyline with Kane. Being revealed as Kane's father, and, calling Undertaker a murderer, and, I thought that was really great. And then for, when they went to the Ministry of Darkness, he was kind of the behind-the-scenes leader of that, and then you found out that it really was Undertaker that set the fire, and it made Undertaker even more sinister, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, that was... The whole Paul Bearer just was awesome.
Yep, in 2004, WrestleMania 20, for that match with Kane, the first thing you heard was, "Oh, yes!" And he was the first image, which I thought was really cool to bring The Undertaker back to the dead man.
I wish I had an urn. I wish I had an urn.
And even in 2010, when they feuded Undertaker and Kane again, they went right back to Paul Bearer again. And he turned on The Undertaker again, which I thought was really cool.
Yep.
Inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2014 when he passed away in 2013. We met him at the Hall of Fame in Amsterdam, and he was in total character. And when I had a trading card to get signed by him, and it was in one of the plastic sleeves, and I knocked it on the table to get the card out of the sleeve.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh yes, come into my parlor," and it was in total character.
It really was. It was awesome.
It was great.
It caught us off guard almost, because sometimes you expect the guy you're meeting to be in a pretty good mood and stuff, but then when they just kind of throw that out there, you're like, oh shit, I wasn't ready for you to do that.
Yeah,
so, that was cool.
And staying in that same vein as a sinister character, James Mitchell,
the father.
Yep, who was James Vandenberg in WCW, called the Collector of Oddities with Mortis and Wrath, and that crappy feud with Glacier. But he was the Sinister Minister in ECW, which is really, really cool. He came into his own there with Mikey Whipwreck and Tajiri. He did a lot of opening promos for the ECW pay-per-views as well, and his laugh became synonymous with it. Yeah, that was... and then he went to TNA and he managed Abyss, which was fucking amazing.
The Monster Abyss!
Yeah, he was such a great mouthpiece.
Yep.
I think he should still be in the business.
Yep.
I think he should be a mouthpiece for somebody.
And if you don't know who James Mitchell is or what he looks like, I'm gonna give you a quick TNA version, because I don't remember looking like this a little bit in the early years. Always like a red tux, almost. He's like a short, little, kind of creepy looking dude.
Yep.
Like long black, well put together facial hair, beard, and all that Fu Manchu looking shit. Long black hair. He's white, and he wears a do-rag.
And he had his eyebrows they were his horns.
Literally, they were horns.
And he wore demonic, rings and stuff.
But he had a do-rag, Dave. I'm not really sure about that, but I just wanted to,
Well, you can't talk about managers without talking about Jimmy Hart,
yes,
the
you
mouth
can.
of the South.
We could have not talked about him. We could have had that conversation. That's not,
But what a lot of people don't know about Jimmy Hart is he had a #1 hit as a member of the Gentrys back in the 60s, and that band knocked the Beatles off the top of the charts. That's an amazing feat back in the 60s to be a band that knocked the Beatles off the top of the charts. And Jimmy Hart was the singer of the band that did it. I think that's really cool.
That is cool.
He started managing Jerry Lawler in Memphis, and then he was brought into the WWF for WrestleMania 1 to manage Greg Valentine. It seemed like he managed everybody in WWF.
Mm-hmm. Everybody.
The Hart Foundation, the Rougeaus, Dino Bravo, Earthquake, Money Incorporated.
The Nasties.
The Nasty Boys, yep. He's probably most associated with the Honky Tonk Man as Colonel Jimmy Hart.
Mm-hmm.
But the megaphone, the outlandish outfits, especially when he started getting into the tie-dyed stuff. Or, I mean the airbrush.
The airbrush.
The airbrush stuff was
WCW.
just... Yeah.
That's all I can picture is like everything he wore in WCW was
even
so
in, even
bright
in WWF, the early 90s, he had the airbrush stuff, the Money Inc. with the big, dollar sign on the back with his face and stuff.
We met Jimmy Hart, I don't know, a handful of times now. Really cool for me because that was the first wrestler my daughter ever got to meet.
You did a Q&A with him at one point.
Did a Q&A, not personally me alone with him, but the meet and greet I went to before they let people like in there or whatever it was. We had a few minutes before there was the actual meet and greet.
Yep.
So they had, Jimmy Hart came out and the guy that was running the place said, if anybody's got any questions, just go ahead and throw your hands up and he'll pick on you and, blah, 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 blah. So I was one of them and I asked him, I was like, during fucking the Monday Night Wars, you were in WCW, was there anything that was like really cool and blah, blah, blah? Well, let me tell you, baby, all that stuff was really great. There was times when we were in WCW, Hogan's over here. You got Kevin Nash throwing Rey Mysterio like a lawn dart. Then you got Stone Cold. Oh, hell yeah. Times were great in WCW, baby. Woo. Like, that's kind of Jimmy Hart, right?
And then we went to a Northeast Wrestling show, and he had his own table, and he had his megaphone out, and he was directing people where to go. He didn't have to do that, but he was in full Jimmy Hart mode. Oh, yeah, the merchandise tables are over there, and the...
Oh, you gotta take a shit. Bathroom's over here.
Roddy Piper's over here, and Hulk Hogan's over there, and it was just... It's amazing that he lives the gimmick, but I imagine that's him in real life. Like, he's so over the top, and that's just him, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But he was in WWF from WrestleMania 1 to WrestleMania 9. He turned babyface at one point and managed Hogan and Beefcake in one of the worst tag matches in WrestleMania history.
Beefcake.
He wrote Shawn Michaels' entrance theme, "Sexy Boy," which I thought, which he still mentions all the time, which I think is great. He did a lot of the music in WCW as well because WCW was just using stock music in the Turner Library, and he came in and started doing I like the Johnny B. Bad theme, but I think he did Sting's music. He did a lot of music for them, so I thought that was really cool. And he got put into the WWF Hall of Fame in 2005. WWE.
Good God, I'm working with Michael Cole, people! For fuck's sakes, I'm not going to let this go. He just said the WWF Hall of Fame in 2005.
I did.
Jesus fucking Christmas. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I don't let things go. I'm going to write it down.
He's going to talk. He's going to say this all the time.
2005 HOF. You know who else got inducted in the WWF Hall of Fame in 05? Fucking Piper. Orndorff. Fucking Macho Man didn't. I know, I was going to say Macho Man, but I got all caught up in it. The fucking WWF 05 Hall of Fame.
So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about female managers, valets. You had Deborah with Jeff Jarrett, which I thought added a lot to his character with, the puppies. It gave, King a lot of stuff to work off of. And then you had Miss Kitty, who was Deborah's valet, which was kind of stupid, but, it brought Miss Kitty, and she, took her top off at a pay-per-view once, so that was pretty cool.
When we're done talking about the women, we left out a lot of guys.
Oh, I'm going back to it.
Okay.
I kind of wanted to...
Because I was like, man, where the fuck was Bobby Heenan and Paul Heyman?
I'm going there. Don't worry, I'm going there.
Well, with the WWF Hall of Fame, I'm not really sure where we're going.
But you had Sable, who started with Mark Morrow and then pretty much became an icon of the Attitude Era. You couldn't turn on WWF TV without seeing Sable. Hawking T-shirts or just everything. She was everywhere.
Yep.
Even with the oddities, she was everywhere. Francine in ECW. mean, she managed the Pitbulls with Shane Douglas, Tommy Dreamer, Just Incredible.
Fucking... Oh, what the hell were they called? Credible and...
the Impact Players.
Impact Players, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Or was that Dawn Marie?
Well, she did stuff with them too, but
Yeah.
so did... But, her whole thing was if you didn't have the title, you couldn't sleep with her, which I thought was actually a pretty funny way to go. But you mentioned Dawn Marie. Dawn Marie was with Simon Diamond, and she was with Lance Storm.
However he does it. I don't remember how he does it.
Gorgeous George was with the Macho Man in WCW. And she had a great... I don't care what anybody says. That match she had with Charles Robinson, where Charles Robinson was Little Nate, I thought that was hilarious. It was a pure comedy match, but I thought it was great. You had Beulah, who came out with Raven, and she was with Dreamer, and had a real bloody match with Bill Alfonso in ECW.
Hell yeah.
One of the bloodiest matches I've ever seen. And then in 2006, she took an awesome spear from Edge at One Night Stand, and then he did that really sexual cover on her where he was humping her.
Oh my god!
That was really cool. Marlena with Goldust. I thought she added a great dynamic to Goldust, where you thought he was gay, but then you brought her out, and it's like, but
right,
is he
she comes
though,
out
and smoking the cigar and stuff.
Yep.
But he still kept those same mannerisms as if he was ambiguous and.
And she, sold it because she was like, oh, I like this weird sexual nature that you are. I loved it.
And then once they broke up, she was with Pillman a little bit, and then she was with PMS with Jackie, and she became that, the sex cat and all that stuff.
And I don't care what anybody says. I know, people are always like, if you go, say you're going to go, you're at a wrestling show, and people are talking about signing, and you're going to say, oh, I'm going to so-and-so, what the fuck is her name? I'm trying to think. Terry Reynolds.
Yep.
Is going to be there. Oh. Ew. You get that, you do. She does get that demeanor. I don't give a fuck, man. Every day, I would. Every day. You know what I'm talking about.
She was hot as fuck.
She still is.
Yeah, she is. But even the run she had with Perry Saturn, I thought was really cool, leading into Moppy and all that stuff. I thought, that...
Have you seen my Moppy?
Have you seen my mom? With the milk carton and stuff, and
my Moppy's really thin.
And Vince Russo wasn't even booking then, so.
Who booked this shit?
Of course, Melina with Eminem. I thought she added, the entrance that she did, and just the being the complete bitch and everything. I thought she added.
Except to Mick Foley.
Yeah, that kind of was. I mean, they're friends in real life, but
it was
just,
so weird.
Yeah, it was random as fuck. Yeah. Lana, you got to talk current day. Lana with Rusev.
Dude, I was just Googling pictures of her the other day. That's not the only thing I got Googled.
I follow her on Instagram, and every day is a good day when Lana posts something on Instagram.
I would follow her on the fucking cliffs of Mount Doom.
But she's always posting, bikini photos and all. It's amazing.
I want a Lana. Because Lard.
One that doesn't get talked about is Sapphire with Dusty Rhodes. I'm sure it started out as a joke, but I thought she added a great, piece to Dusty. I thought that was a great thing. It's just a common woman, not just a common, just Southern black woman to add to Dusty Rhodes. I thought it added, and it gave great stuff for Jesse Ventura to work off of as well, just to knock her down and to make jokes and
we put polka dots. Little yellow polka dots, baby, all over my underwear and on my elbow pads. And Sapphire, she be dancing, we be like, oh, juking and jiving, baby.
I literally put her down just so you could go into Dusty.
What?
Well, okay. That's not the first...
I'm going to plug Dusty, guys.
We talked about plugging promoters, so it's not the first time we've gone into stuff like that.
Let me get ready. Dusty Rhodes, I'm all excited. My nipples are hard.
Shaniqua with the Bashams. I thought that it was so random, but I thought it was pretty cool. They had the dominatrix for with them, and they were submissive to her and stuff.
I thought she was kind of sexy too.
I thought that was cool. Queen Charmel with Booker. King Booker.
King Booker.
I thought, Charmel with that screechy voice, and it just, it's kind of like Stephanie, it just, that voice is... I love Stephanie too, but it just, that screechy voice adds something to it.
My turtle shell is tightening. Real quick on Queen Charmel.
Okay.
I was, again, never watched WCW. Was she a Nitro chick?
She was a Nitro chick.
Okay. Spice. Spice was my favorite.
And she was a valet for Prince Iaukea, who became the artist formerly known as Prince Iaukea. She played Paisley, so that was before she was married to Booker. So
in about 2005, 2006, the Divas magazine came out where all the divas are like in their swimsuits and shit.
Yep. You weren't feeling the Charmel?
No.
Better hope Booker never watches.
I love you, Booker! But your wife?
Okay, so you can't talk about, women valets without talking about some.
I can.
Well, okay, we shouldn't. She was the most downloaded celebrity of 1996, which, being a wrestling personality, that's saying something, especially at the early stages of
And
the
not
internet.
even being a wrestler, like you just said, a personality.
Yep.
So,
she managed the Body Donnas, the Godwins, and the Smoking Guns. She was with Farouk for about a month, which was awkward as fuck when he was wearing that gladiator gimmick. And even with LOD 2000, which I thought that was actually pretty cool. And
it was awesome. That outfit she had was so cool.
Yeah, like a Xena Warrior Princess kind of get up, yeah. And she was with Chris Candido in ECW and WCW. And she went into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2011.
The Hall of Fame to
WWE.
Aha! They must have changed it by then.
They did, yeah.
So wait a minute. So that WWE 2004 Hall of Fame, what was that one?
That was the shitty one.
Was that them trying the name out first?
Yeah. She's had a lot of legal troubles, in the past few years, gotten arrested a lot.
She had a porno.
Yeah, she's done porn. She does Skype shows.
It was okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, she's an icon in the business, whether you like it or not. No matter what she's done recently. Also, Sensational Sherry, iconic with Macho Man. When he did that heel turn, she was the queen. She was
his queen. Yeah, the Macho King.
And she was just as outlandish as him. She was just as weird, and it was just. You watch some of the videos of him, her, and Zeus together with the cauldron and a cauldron of the madness, and and then she went with Ted DiBiase for a while when she broke away with Macho Man, which is actually pretty cool. And then Shawn Michaels, she was like just the cougar to Shawn Michaels before that was a thing. Yeah, that was, and just Shawn! And he would push her down to the ground and do his pose over top of her and stuff, and that.
That's like my dance move apparently.
And then in '94 she went with Ric Flair for a little bit in WCW. And then she transitioned to Harlem Heat, which I thought she was really cool with Harlem Heat. And she had some really funny segments with Colonel Rob Parker where she got him in the ring for 5 minutes.
Yep.
And she had a match with him, and Dusty was going crazy on.
Oh, baby, you can't do that! Yep. I don't know what he was saying.
It was good shit. But Elizabeth, you have to talk about Elizabeth when you talk about valets.
First lady.
Yeah, she was Macho Man's actual wife, and I think that's cool that he wanted her on the road with him, and they made her a character. She was the first lady of wrestling. She was one of the most over people in the company without really being a performer. You know what I mean? And she was perfect in her role. She was so sympathetic, and he always had to protect her, and it made him. It gave him a softer side.
It made him look like a man.
Yeah.
Like a real man without saying, I'm Macho Man. Well, why?
And they never said that she was his wife.
Right.
But you kind of knew, like, there was something there,
Elizabeth, will you marry me?
That was one of the great storylines. That was. And to do the wedding at SummerSlam '91, that was actually pretty cool.
That's like the only wedding that's ever not been a sham.
Yeah.
In the wrestling history.
And they still did commentary over it, which I thought was really funny.
I'm going to throw a little bit in there with Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah.
When Macho Man first got into wrestling, I don't remember the fucking year. I should. He's one of my favorites. But he was presented with 4 managers. Bobby Heenan, the Grand Wizard, Lou Albano,
Freddie Blassie.
And Freddie Blassie.
Yep.
He was presented with those 4 wrestling managers who were like the most over managers. They were the guys that if you wanted to be somebody, you literally went under their tutelage.
And they were trying to get him. Yep.
He said no. And enter Ms. Elizabeth.
Yep.
He wanted Ms. Elizabeth. And so at that time, to really say no to that kind of shit and then to introduce a woman on that,
yep.
That's a big deal. And I always thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's my
Well, you mentioned Freddie Blassie. He was actually next.
You pencil neck geeks.
He led Mr. Fuji and Professor Tanaka to the tag titles in 1977.
Mr. Fuji.
I don't remember that, but I'm not that old. He was the manager of the Iron Sheik when he won the WWF title in 1983, which is actually pretty cool. But I was 2, so I don't remember that either. And he managed the Iron Sheik and Volkov to win the tag titles at WrestleMania 1.
Nice.
If you can get a copy of his book, it's really interesting to read his book, to read about, people trying to kill him when he was wrestling and stuff like that. And he married a Japanese woman, and to hear how subservient she was to him and stuff like that. I thought he had a really good book. He enjoys the Asian women.
Look, I'll do it so much.
Oh, that's not racist at all.
What do you mean? What? Dave.
You're fucking horrible sometimes.
Okay.
Alright, so J.J. Dillon, somebody that we've met a few times. He actually he managed Tully Blanchard for a while, and then it transitioned to him becoming the manager of the Four Horsemen, which he's actually talked about kind of like as if he is the fifth horseman.
He is.
He is. Yeah, it's...
He is. There's only 4 of them, but he's the 5th one. It fucking... Now he's got me going, people. If fucking Michael Mondo, right? What was his last name, right? Mondo? Mongo, whatever. Mango. If he's a horseman, then J.J. Dillon is the 5th member.
Alright.
Don't argue with me on it, damn it.
I'm not going to argue because there's no point to it anyway.
Ah! Thank you. It's recorded. That's on record.
He worked in the front office of WWF and WCW. And in kayfabe, he was the head of the championship committee in WCW, which is a really cool thing for the heels to play off of and Eric Bischoff to play off of.
Right.
Virgil. We got to talk about Virgil with the $1 Million Man, who was one of the greatest gimmicks of all time. He was the bodyguard, but he was pretty much a slave. But he had that, the sleeveless vest, and he would just stand there with his arms crossed, looking all pissed off, and DiBiase would just throw him in front of him whenever he was in trouble, and he would, fan out the money and all that stuff.
Right.
Turned babyface in 1991, which I thought was really cool, with hitting DiBiase with the belt, and then he actually won the $1 Million Championship at SummerSlam of that year, which was actually a really cool moment.
Wow, that's like the most prestigious title in all of wrestling.
And then they brought him into WCW, and they made him Vincent in the NWO, the head of security.
And guess what he did?
Had some matches which were fucking horrible. And he got a paycheck to pretty much do nothing for like 5 years. Jim Cornette, who we have met and actually had a really cool interaction with.
That was cool.
He managed the Midnight Express in the NWA. He opened his own promotion, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, which ran for a few years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was the American spokesperson for Yokozuna, and I thought he did really well in that role. That's what he does, is talk. And if you listen to his podcast,
I hate modern wrestling. I don't really know.
But he had Camp Cornette in 1996, which I thought was really cool, with Vader, Owen, and the Bulldog. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a really cool time to be a fan. One of the best promo men ever. You Google or go on YouTube and put in a Jim Cornette promo, and you're going to watch a promo that could be on par with a Ric Flair promo. He was one of the best talkers, and still is one of the best talkers in the business, in my opinion. Bill Alfonso in ECW.
Fonzie!
He started in the business as a referee in WCW, the WWF, and ECW. He managed Taz, Sabu, Rob Van Dam. The damn whistle. You cannot watch an ECW pay-per-view or TV broadcast without hearing that fucking whistle.
And then he's always like this.
Yeah.
Oh, what am I going to do? Over here.
And he was a huge part of the presentation of Rob Van Dam. And with the throwing him the chairs and all that stuff.
Coming out in the jumpsuit.
And he didn't use the whistle as much with Van Dam. It was more
because it was that
Taz and
damn
Sabu.
Van Dam whistle.
But yeah, I thought he was a great addition to it. Staying with ECW a little bit, Paul Heyman. He was Paulie Dangerously in WCW, and when he went to ECW and took over, he started a revolution. Mm-hmm. A company that still resonates today. Whenever anything hardcore happens anywhere, people are chanting ECW. And now currently with Brock Lesnar, even in 2002 when Lesnar debuted, he was with him and he was a part of it. and Curtis Axel, one of your favorites. I thought they could have run with that lot more. You know.
Yep. When he announced his new Heyman guy.
Yep.
Throughout the night, I had no idea who it was going to be. Never once did I think, it was going to be Curtis Axel.
Yep.
Michael McGillicuddy. When I heard that, I was like, no fucking way! Oh man, Kid Perfect, he's going to be a champion! He never fucking did a goddamn thing.
Well, he was Intercontinental Champion, but...
Oh yeah, on Father's Day.
Yeah.
Working on Father's Day. I'm a huge Paul Heyman. I am a Paul Heyman guy. There is no denying how much I love Paul Heyman. Yeah, him managing Brock Lesnar is perfect because Brock sucks on the mic.
Yeah,
he's gonna make people piss their pants or something.
Yeah.
So Paul Heyman being the advocate and talking for him is great because he's very much the I'll talk a big get your hands off me. I'm just the advocate. Like it's perfect. It really is great. Who else did he? Oh, CM Punk.
Yep.
I mean,
voice of the voiceless.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
I mean,
but you think about the people that he's managed. Stone Cold Steve Austin in the Dangerous Alliance before he was Stone Cold. Arn Anderson, Larry Zbyszko, Rick Rude, Medusa, The Big Show, Brock Lesnar. It's a who's who of the business, past and current. I think he definitely does not get enough. And the run that he had with Punk, I think, was really good as well. Because Punk could talk, but also Heyman could add to it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It allowed Punk, right. Because Punk loved to talk, but when he was in the serious tone, or not tone, but serious zone, and he didn't talk, and Heyman did, it allowed you, as someone that would read the match and read the story, be like, Punk's in a different mindset right now.
Yep. And even the little thing of during the entrance with Heyman putting his watch out, for Punk to say it's clobbering time.
Right.
Just a little touch like that was added so much to it. Some managers I didn't want to go too in depth with, but I wanted to mention them. Captain Lou, just an outlandish, wearing Hawaiian shirts, having
rubber bands
safety pinned to his cheeks, and just he managed so many tag teams, and it was like he was everywhere. But I liked him. I thought he was a really cool, and the stuff with Cyndi Lauper and, leading into the Rock and Wrestling Connection, he was in his Girls Just Want to Have Fun video.
Which my mom still to this day believes that is her fucking dad. It's like, no, Mom. Go to leave that one last.
Leave that one last? Okay. Harvey Whippleman. Just a tiny little man.
Little fucking dork.
With these huge... I mean, he managed Sid, and he looked like he was 2 feet tall. And... he was one that could bump really well, so people would throw him around. And with Giant Gonzalez, he looked a foot tall because Gonzalez was 8 feet tall. I thought that gravelly voice, and I thought the cigar and everything,
and the look of the little. I don't know what the hat's called.
He was just a little weasel of a manager, and I thought he fit really well with the guys that he managed. Slick, with the Twin Towers and. Coming out and dancing to the Jive Soul
music. You a jive thug, bro. And always lying to your friends.
And just a black pimp of a manager with a huge white man that was pretending to be black. And then a prison guard who had a pimp as a manager.
It was a Jerry Springer soon-to-be episode.
But then he turned babyface in '92, and he managed Kamala for a while as the Reverend Slick.
The Ugandan giant.
Mr. Fuji. He was with Demolition. He was with the Powers of Pain. He was with Yokozuna, and he was with Crush. And he wasn't... With Demolition, he talked more, but after a while, it was just you needed somebody to even talk for him, because he was just kind of there. With Yokozuna, you didn't really need him to talk much because you needed that mystique.
You just needed that mystique.
You needed his Mr. Miyagi to Yokozuna, but as a heel. You know what I mean? One that actually we like, Dutch Mantel, who was Uncle Zeb, and he was Zeb Coulter.
Yep.
I think he really came into his own as Zeb Coulter, and they really could have went...
We, the people!
They could have went a lot farther with that.
Yeah.
I think it would have been good for kind of... Remember in '96 they had JR have his own announce table when he turned heel?
Yeah.
I think you could have had Zeb Coulter have his own announce table and give his own views
during matches.
And say, this guy,
That'd be cool.
is this, he came across the border, that kind of stuff.
I did hate it
I
didn't like it when he came back as the manager of
Del Rio.
That was just
stupid. That was
it
so
totally
random.
rewrote what you previously were.
Yep.
Not saying Mexicans can't be the fucking American patriot. Fucking Jesus Christ. But if you're portraying for the last year you are a fucking patriot,
yep,
you can't be a turncoat in the same breath, because now I'm going to look at everything you just previously said as a bunch of hoopla.
Yep.
And Jack Swagger, you're the fucking man!
He's kicking ass in MMA right now,
dude, we met him once, and I kind of insulted him. And I didn't mean it. I love the guy. But
I didn't think he would be as tall as he was either. He was a huge dude. Yeah.
He was huge.
Paul Ellering, who we've met.
Yeah.
We met him and Road Warrior Animal at the same time. That was really cool.
I love Ellering because they brought him, which stupid! WWE had the Authors of Pain in NXT, which was Tokar and Razor from Ninja Turtles 2. Mama, babies! You brought me babies! I don't remember what the Akam and Razor.
Yep.
Which I love those guys. I thought they were great.
They were badass.
So they got Paul Ellering, Hall of Fame fucking legend with LOD, who led them on to multiple championships. You got Paul Ellering in your not pandering, but you're showing him to a new crowd, because honestly, NXT is a new generation of wrestling
But
fans.
they're also smart fans.
Exactly.
As well,
so you're giving Paul Ellering, nothing against NXT, but you're giving them, the cream of the crop, in my opinion. Fucking day one, them motherfuckers come to Raw. No, we don't need you, Paul Ellering. And he's just standing there do you not know who I am? About a month later, they win the titles. About a week later, they lose the fucking titles. And about a week after that, one of them gets injured. Now they haven't been on TV in fucking months.
Yep, and you had Drake Maverick with them for a while, which was interesting.
How do you... I mean, sure, maybe the Legends contract that he was on was easier because it's NXT and it's pretty much in one area, right? For most...
Yeah. But I mean, all he had to really do was TVs and pay-per-views. It's not like he had to go and do house shows.
And at least get a month or two out of him.
Yeah.
Let him lead them to the championships, and then they'll be like, nope, we don't need you.
Or have him say, look, you don't need me anymore, I'm gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? You guys, I've taught you all you need to know.
It was just so dumb, and it just felt like they were already heels.
Yep.
Why did you have to make them look like douchebags to wrestling fans?
Yep.
Because, I love Paul Ellering. He's probably one of my favorite managers just because I like LOD. But.
And then in, was it 98, he came back, it looked like he was coming back with LOD, and then he turned heel and went with the DOA, and he came out with the motorcycle and stuff, and I thought that was actually really cool. They could have went a lot longer with that as well.
He had great range.
I think they would have gone longer if Hawk hadn't had his substance issues at that point. You know what I mean?
You're calling one of them 8-ball, aren't you? In the DOA.
That's true.
I mean, how do you do that?
Yep.
I'm going to get an 8-ball. What? I'm gonna go beat him up. I'm gonna go beat 8-ball up.
One that doesn't get talked about a lot, but I thought was really cool, was Matt Stryker with Big Daddy V. I thought that was really good.
No, I did too.
Stryker's such a good talker, and
to have him straight heel like that.
And Big Daddy V needed that, but just that hulking dude behind Stryker.
I loved it.
I think if it hadn't been on ECW and it had been more on SmackDown,
they would have ran.
But just they didn't give a shit about ECW. It was just their feeder to SmackDown. But
that was cool. I remember buying the 2-pack figure set of that because one, it was Viscera as Big Daddy V. I was like, I gotta have him as a toy.
And Matt Stryker, I have to say thank you because at a Northeast Wrestling show, I had him sign my encyclopedia, and I forgot the fucking thing on his table.
Yep.
And if he hadn't have, noticed that and gotten it back to me, that's a lot of money that I've invested getting that thing signed that I would have, that I would have been out of, and I wouldn't have had my Hulk Hogan autograph anymore, my Ultimate Warrior, my Roddy Piper. So thank you, Matt Stryker, for being honest and bringing it back to me, which is really cool.
That was really nice.
Yeah. Tony Atlas with Mark Henry. but he had the cut off sleeves on his his suit, and he looked big, just as big as Mark Henry. It was so cool. Then he had that bow-legged walk when he'd walk down to the ring, and it was just, I thought it was a really cool, and not that Mark Henry really needed a mouthpiece, but it was just
it was like, oh, that's cool. It's a cool acknowledgement to see Tony Atlas, world's strongest man with Mr. USA.
Yep. Yeah, and we've had great interactions with Tony Atlas over the years, so that's...
The 3 times I've met him have been enjoyable.
Yep. Colonel Rob Parker in WCW, and then he came as Tennessee Lee with Jeff Jarrett and during the Attitude Era. I thought, the Southern Plantation owner kind of Colonel Sanders-looking manager, I thought that was actually pretty cool.
Especially at that point in the 90s,
yeah,
where gimmicks were the more outlandish, almost the better.
Yep. Yeah, I thought it was, and he managed Austin as U.S. champion at one point, in WCW. He managed Haku as Mang for a while, which didn't really fit to me, but I thought it was actually really cool. And then he brought in one of my favorite wrestlers, Barry Darsow, as the Blacktop Bully, and he had that feud with Dustin Rhodes that led to the awful, truck match where they were wrestling in the back of a truck with hay and all that stuff, and uncensored, and but I like that.
But baby, we got to put my son and somebody else in the back of a truck with hay, because what resonates with wrestling fans? Hay. Hey you. Hey over there. Hey this. You know what I'm saying? Hey.
That's hey.
You get rid of the E in the hay of like, hey, how you doing? You put the A and you get hey, baby. And then we fill it in the truck and they body slamming each other. People watching it from a helicopter and you're like, what in the fuck is this?
We spent a shitload of money on it.
It's
for no
crazy.
reason.
And Vince Russo was like, this is better than a piñata on a pole match, daddy.
So you wanted to talk about Alejandro Estrada.
Armando Alejandro Estrada.
Did you want to wait just to do that? Is that
Escúcheme. Yeah, I did.
I thought he added so much to Umaga.
DC Moin Bulldozer.
I think my favorite one, though, is when he was talking to Eugene. And he was like, you can bring all these superheroes that you want. You can bring the Superman, you can bring the Spider-Man, and you can bring the Aquaman. The Aquaman. I don't know why they didn't use him as a manager for more people. I thought he could have been Ricardo Rodriguez with Del Rio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He could have been the personal ring announcer. That would have been tremendous.
I did. I really liked Armando Estrada.
I thought he was great as the ECW general manager as well.
Yeah, I did too.
Let
me introduce you to Tiffany. He was great. He was a character.
Yep.
Awesome character.
I don't know why they didn't do more with
Former Cuban world heavyweight champion. That's all I know about his backstory is that. It's just that. And the face he would make, like he was...
So before I get into the last one that I've got on my notes, do you have any that you can think of that I haven't touched on yet? Yes.
Okay. Managers.
Or valets or anything like that you can think of that I haven't really hit on.
Oh my god, we gotta fucking talk about Ranjin Singh.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I was being very facetious.
We could talk about how much his client
let's talk about the Singh brothers. Jaleel and Salam or whatever. That was funny. I didn't mean that.
That's actually really funny.
That was funny. No, I don't. There's got to be other managers.
Yeah. I couldn't really,
who else is there?
I know, I'm putting you on the spot. I know.
Oh, I know one. Mr. Man. That's a good plug.
That's going to be a great interview, by the way. I don't think you guys are ready for that. That's
right,
going to be really,
and for
really
people
good.
that don't know who he is,
you're going to fucking find out.
You're going to fucking find out because he's a lot like us in the sense of he doesn't give a shit what he's going to say. So you better be prepared for profanity, offensiveness, and probably some sexual stuff.
And he's got a real interesting story as well. His life is a very interesting story. If you want to get a little taste of him, which that sounds weird.
Why do we say these things? Why are these saying? Oh, plug him.
We don't think about this stuff before we say it. But go on YouTube, search for the Comic Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. He did a promo video for us, and you'll get a little bit of a sneak peek onto what his character is and how he is.
And he's like a hypnotist. Which I'm gonna see if he'll do that on the show.
Yeah.
If he'll hypnotize one of us. Cause hey, that would be fucking
That would
great,
be
right?
great,
Imagine one of us hypnotized and be like, John, bark like a dog, but make it sound like meow. Meow, meow, meow. You know how funny that would be, and not knowing what you're doing? I'm all about it. A manager. I can't think of any right now.
I think I've covered a lot of them. And a lot of people, if you're thinking, oh, well, why didn't you talk about the Grand Wizard, or why didn't you talk about Skandar Akbar? I'm talking about motherfuckers that I know.
Oh, Cherry.
Cherry with Deuce and Domino?
I'm not... I don't contribute.
You're just throwing random ones
Trinity!
out there. Trinity. Well, that was fucking amazing. Trinity was hot as hell.
Yeah, she was.
I'm thinking... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Tracy Brooks with Robert Roode in TNA.
Oh, there you go.
You know, Ms. Brooks, I thought she was hot as fuck.
No. I thought she had the fucking face of
You didn't
a
like...
fucking... She had the face of a southbound dog heading northbound, brother. Like,
But I thought she was good as his, his director of chaos.
I didn't even think of, like, TNA managers. You got fucking Roxy Laveau, who's kind of with
Voodoo
Mafia. You got Scott D'Amore.
Yeah,
who's
Team
with
Canada.
Team Canada.
Yeah, that was actually really cool. You had Christy Hemme with the Rockin'
With the
Raven
rockin'...
which I made a sign at a
did.
TNA show that said I want to be infected by Christy Hemme,
And she came over.
and she signed it, which I thought that was clever. you know?
Managers, we got to talk about managers. That since we are fucking,
Talking about fucking managers, all right.
well, I mean, Christy Hemme. My God, I can't think of his name. We talk about him all the time. Truth Martini.
Oh, Truth Martini, yeah, he was great.
From Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta throw it around a little bit.
Yeah, Truth is great.
What are some indie managers we've seen?
Oh God,
Are there any that we've really seen?
not too many. Mr. Man is really the,
He really
the
is.
main one that I'm trying to think of Northeast Wrestling ones, but even CTWE ones, but it's not really.
No, I guess not. Huh?
It was more about the matches
Yeah.
than it was really the.
Well, I'm glad I could contribute with my 2 senses on managers because I'm really in depth.
You've contributed about as much as I did on the Spider-Man one, so I think we're pretty much even.
Ouch! I felt like I did a little bit more. Check us out. This is the last episode we're ever gonna do, but just check out the first 15 and we'll like it. Thanks, guys. You've been really fun.
So, the biggest manager, the most famous manager, the best manager of all time, in my opinion, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
I think Paul Heyman.
Well, yeah, I can understand why you would think
In
Paul
the
Heyman.
regards of like client,
Right.
Like Bobby Heenan had 100 people under his list. The Heenan family. They were all great, but Jesus Christ, they can't hold a candle to Brock Lesnar. I mean, that guy is a former multi-world champion, former legit UFC champion, NCAA fucking champion, Money in the Bank. That one, nobody cares about that. He ended Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania. To me, that is when I said it.
Yeah.
That is exactly when I said it. When Undertaker got beat at WrestleMania, when it was the 1-21, I remember saying Paul Heyman is the greatest manager now.
But that's what's great about wrestling is you can have differing opinions on stuff like that. Like you can say he's the greatest. Bobby Heenan is more my area. I think he's the greatest manager of all time. It's all subjective.
I did think Bobby Heenan was the greatest until that moment.
Yeah.
I really did.
But he managed Nick Bockwinkel and Ray Stevens in the AWA. Then he went to the WWF. The Heenan family is extensive. Big John Studd, King Kong Bundy, Haku, Rick Rude, the Islanders, Mr. Perfect, Paul Orndorff, the Brainbusters, even the Brooklyn Brawler and the Red Rooster, which is just fucking crazy. King Harley Race, Ric Flair. He really didn't manage Flair, but he was in his financial advisor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's when he was with Perfect.
Yeah,
right?
Perfect was his executive consultant. Mm-hmm. But it just... I think, and then he transitioned to being one of the best color commentators ever. I would say the best color commentator ever.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
Me too.
But in my opinion, he's the best manager ever. But you can't really peg him as just a manager. He did so much in the business.
Mm-hmm.
That dynamic with him and Gorilla Monsoon, doing prime time and then doing the pay-per-views, and I think he's the best ever. I can see where you would say Paul Heyman is. I really do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I truly can understand that. But for the body of work that he had and just the image of him and Andre the Giant on that cart leaving WrestleMania 3 would just defeat in his eyes, just because he knew that he had it in his hands with Andre,
and then gone.
Yeah, that's one of the most iconic visuals I've ever had.
Yep.
Is him riding away on that cart with Andre.
Right, in that white tuxedo.
Yeah.
Yep.
And even, on Piper's Pit when Andre tears the crucifix off and Heenan was like, you maligned this man. You never once gave him you kept him as an underling. You never viewed him as the giant that he is. You know what I mean?
Right. It just really fed into it.
Yeah, he added so much to Andre. He added so much to everybody that he managed, really.
He really did. He really did. And two things I want to add to that is Bobby Heenan has passed away, like a year or two ago?
Yep.
Gorilla Monsoon has been gone for almost over a decade now.
He died in 99, yeah.
Right, so 20 years.
Yeah.
I would like to say this because they were a pivotal role in the beginning of me getting into wrestling because they were there. It was a transition. I've learned who Gorilla is. He's one of those voices.
Yep.
Once it's in your head, you never unlearn Gorilla's voice. And you don't forget a guy named Gorilla. I mean, he was the commissioner when I got into wrestling.
The only one that ever messed with him was Vader, and that was a huge angle when he attacked Gorilla Monsoon.
So, on that, when Monsoon passed away, and that was during the WCW days, they let Bobby Heenan have a moment.
Yep.
To say what he wanted to say to his brother.
Yeah.
Gorilla Monsoon.
They were inseparable. They really were.
So what I want to say is, because these guys are the JR and King right before the cusp of my era, and they do mean a lot to me, is Heenan said, the pearly gates up there, and Shivani said, yup. Well, they're not going to be called that anymore. It's going to be called the Gorilla position.
That's really cool.
I thought it brings a tear to my eye, because I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I would like to say, I don't look at that as just the Gorilla position. I look at that as the commentator's table. Those guys are sitting there calling the matches, calling what's going on now. So I want to throw that in there because I emotionally love these two people. And
I know that people think JR and King were the greatest commentary team ever. But my era for the WrestleMania...
Would you stop that?
Yeah, the WrestleMania era and the way they played... I mean, King and JR had a banter back and forth.
They had great banter.
But Gorilla and Bobby Gorilla would feed him lines. JR never really fed King lines very often. Gorilla would feed shit to Bobby to get Bobby to make a joke.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I just think... And the interactions on Prime Time and I think... They are the greatest commentary team ever. That's just my opinion.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But it is subjective. I mean, you could say what you want. You know what I mean?
And the last thing is, if you want to go straight to the top, follow... Or how does he say it?
Oh, man.
What is it? If you want to... If
you listen to me, you go to the top. If you don't listen to me, you're never heard from again.
That's what it is. Exactly.
That was one of his best promos ever.
And I think that resonates through wrestling.
Yeah.
You could take that for what it is, but how I mean it is, if you want to do the right fucking things, you're going to do them, and you're going to do them right, because if you fuck up, you're out.
Yeah.
That's subject to however you want to look at it, but that's how I perceive it as his legacy to carry on of, if I could pass the torch on to anybody and give them advice, just fucking keep your nose to the grind and keep doing it the right way.
Yep.
I guess. I don't know. But I do. I love Bobby Heenan. And
it's a shame he's gone, and...
The brain.
Yeah.
The weasel. I mean, all of it.
Yep. That's pretty much, I wanted to end with Bobby Heenan. I want to talk about our Mr. Man episode, because I think that's going to be... We've wanted him to be our first guest for a long time. When we first started doing this, that was what we said we wanted to have him as a guest.
It really was. Michael Ray Mann was our... I don't even know why. I mean, I do know why, because we're invested in him. We like the guy.
He's such a great character, yeah.
But I don't know why it was our first thought of let's just get him.
Yep.
Something called. We picked up the phone figuratively, and we were like, let's do this.
And he's all about it. He really is. He can't wait to do it. He can't wait.
He really is, because at the last wrestling show we went to, which we could talk about that a little bit.
Oh, yeah, the XWA show. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
First of all, before any of that, we should have said this at the top of the show. There was a passing.
Ashley Massaro, yes, I did have that.
Well, geez, why don't you just let me set it up and then just cut in?
Sorry.
So yeah, there was a passing. I won't call her a legend.
No.
But she is a WWE family member, 100%. Ashley Mazzaro, who was in wrestling from, 06 to 08?
Yeah,
It was only like 2 years. But the 2 years that she was there, if you watched it, you remember almost everything she did.
Yep.
Being with Trish, being with Mickey, just being the hot blonde that they didn't really know what to do with. She was just the rocker chick. She had 2 WrestleMania matches back to back.
Yep.
So, I mean, obviously she did something right to earn that acknowledgement. Both of the matches were losses. But still, she was on the card. She was on a WrestleMania.
Yeah, you can't take that away from her.
First year it was a singles match.
And then it has the bunny match.
Right.
The Playboy bunny match, yep.
So, I was upset to hear of it because she was obviously somebody that was in wrestling during my time. I mean, I wasn't a teenager. Watching it consistently, I watched every fucking Raw those years.
Yeah.
I mean, I have her Playboy, yes, for that reason, but
I do as well.
I am a fan of her.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked her. I really, really did. So when I heard she passed away, I was a bit upset.
She was actually going to be the next framed memorabilia piece I was going to do.
Oh.
Because I have an autographed 8x10 and I have some autographed cards of hers too, and that actually was, so. But she won the Diva Search in 2005, and she was in the WWE until 2008.
Right.
So. And she never went to TNA, which I thought was kind of weird, because they were bringing in some of the WWE women for a while, so I'm surprised she never, but there's been a lot of outpouring. There's been the WWE women raised $25,000 already for her daughter.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fucking cool, you know what I mean? So it's a shame, it really is, and, you're right, she is one that you will remember. She stood out a little bit from, the other divas that they had there.
She stands out above almost any diva that there is still to this day, except for the ones that they bring in from NXT, some of them. Like the Riot Squad and shit. Not saying that they're like her, but she was the first punk rocker that I know of, wrestling-wise, to that grand scale.
Yeah.
To where now these girls that are coming in, like the Riot Squad, and any of them that are wearing like the black leather and rocking out and shit, that to me is owed to Ashley.
Yeah.
Because she broke that mold of not being the cookie cutter. I mean, she was sexy.
Yeah, she had the physique and everything.
But she wasn't the dumb, ditzy diva.
Yep.
If I can get away with saying that.
Yeah.
And I did. I loved her. I mean, the whole story of her getting, you got to do Playboy with Maria. And then Santino being part of that.
Yeah.
And basically making them sound like hussies. And it just... I loved it because then he teamed up with Beth Phoenix and it just gave a whole different,
Yeah.
It was a cool time. It was a really cool time.
So we mentioned the show that we went to. It was on May 11th, XWA Spring Mayhem. We sold some merchandise, got the word out about the podcast.
It was pretty cool.
As a matter of fact, just from our banner alone, we got a new listener.
Yep.
Who added us liked our Facebook and started listening to the podcast that night. So that's pretty fucking cool.
And we will apologize right now. We know who you are, but we don't know your name at the top of our head.
Yeah.
And if you are listening to this or watching this, message us on any of these, however you can. Let us know what you guys do.
Yeah.
Because you guys clearly, and if you don't know what we're talking about, when we were at the wrestling show, there were 2 gentlemen who were like videotaping the wrestling show. I'm not sure to what capacity. Came over, grabbed our podcast flyer, and then immediately went over and got on our site or our pages and liked them and shit. So to you guys, if you're listening, like I said, comment. Let us know what you do, because then maybe there could be like a cross brand, help each other out. My back gets scratched and you scratch it.
We're always down for doing stuff like that.
Yeah. So.
But at that show, there was a cool barbershop segment
with the Beefcake Hall of Famer
with no neck. I feel so bad saying that, but the man has no neck anymore.
My favorite type of jewelry, Dave. Tell him.
A necklace.
A necklace.
And because of that barbershop segment, Mr. Man got his hair cut.
What?
With the hedge clippers. Which I would not let that man touch my head with them fucking hedge clippers. I'm sorry.
I really don't have a choice. I don't have much hair.
But we have enjoyed the XWA shows. They've actually been pretty good.
They have. I don't care for the robot.
Shockwave the robot?
I get gimmicks, but come on. Come on.
But the XWA does have a training school. It's located in Albany at 88 Railroad Avenue, right near you, Albany. The phone number is 518-859-5708. Talk to Jerry Idle. Jerry's been actually pretty cool to us. I just wanted to, he's been actually really nice to allow us to do stuff at his shows. So
I can't believe what. How did he get their number?
What? I have strong Google skills.
You work with him and not me. You say my videos are good, and then you're over here telling me he's better? Well, aren't you a son of a bitch? Last time we get him on the show.
Also, we should mention AEW is going to be on TNT, which I think is kind of ironic because TNT is the company, the station that canceled WCW back in 2001.
Wrestling is coming back to Turner Broadcast Television.
And with the way WWE is going, it might be some actual fucking competition.
I don't know where this information comes from, but I heard it earlier that I don't remember what the fuck I was talking about earlier. But about AEW and Vince McMahon wanting to step on them and stuff like that. And apparently somebody in the know can quote Stephanie McMahon saying, we do look at AEW as competition.
You have to at this point. You know what I mean?
You really do, because they are the alternative people are looking for.
They've got a TV deal after one fucking pay-per-view.
Right.
They haven't even done... their second one starts tonight.
It's Double or Nothing! Kenny Omega, the Bucks, fucking Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes and Y2J!
Who has foregone everything WWE to sign with this company.
Vince McMahon hates that man now.
Yeah.
Jericho is...
He's persona non grata with WWE now.
I fucking love Chris Jericho, baby!
It's just, you have to look at it as competition. You
do.
Other than Impact, who had that chance at one point, this is the only company, in my eyes. Ring of Honor, I don't think is going to get there.
They've been on TV for a long time now, and they're not.
Yep, and to get TNT, that's a major fucking network.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It makes it so awesome. What? Where can I find this on my TV? Like, what times and channels and...
They haven't announced times or dates yet. So.
Nope, not even a day?
Nope. But they are going to do weekly broadcasts,
which is Monday.
And they've got JR doing the fucking commentary.
And they've got Jerry Lynn to help backstage.
Yep. And I would imagine Arn Anderson's going to end up backstage at some point too. And you've got Dustin Rhodes.
Who else?
Who better to help backstage than Dustin Rhodes?
I feel like I just saw a new announcement for somebody that they got. Oh, you know who WWE got? And it's going to be amazing? Crown Jewel 2.
Oh, fuck me.
Yeah, baby!
Fuck me running. That's...
Saudi Arabia.
I hope they'd stay over there.
You've got the Phenom, the Undertaker.
He should have retired 3 years ago.
Oh, no. Against... Oh, yes! You asked for it, and they're bringing it to you, baby.
Who asked for it? Who's you? One guy on WWE Creative?
Vince McMahon. Goal! Burr!
Should have happened 20 years ago.
Who the fuck asked for that match?
The Saudi Arabians?
God damn. That's what a... Goldberg versus Undertaker?
That's gonna be worse than Goldberg against Lesnar. Back in 2004. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not going to be any fucking better than Goldberg or Brock Lesnar versus fucking Zach Gowen.
That was more interesting, actually.
Jesus. Goldberg versus fucking Undertaker? Come on.
And you know what? I hate that The Undertaker is doing this for a payday.
Yes.
It drives me fucking insane. You're iconic. You do not need to do these things.
But let's not show up to WrestleMania.
Yeah. This match, I'm calling it right now, it's going to be the shittiest fucking match of the year. It really is. And I hate saying that about my favorite fucking wrestler.
Ladies and gentlemen, I opened up Pandora's box because I needed that. Right, back to AEW, All Elite Wrestling.
I really hope the pay-per-view does well tonight.
Yeah, me too.
I really do. It just adds so much. It's so great to be a wrestling fan right now. No matter what WWE is doing, you've got Ring of Honor, you've got AEW. What Impact is on a shitty station, but I like seeing the results of what they're doing with their show, even though I can't see it. And you've got all these indie promotions that are out there that you can go to. The options as a wrestling fan are fucking amazing.
There's the network. It's got. Yeah. I mean, that's not obviously going to a different show.
New Japan. You know, it's. And any con you go to is going to have a fucking wrestler at it.
It really is.
You know what I mean? No matter what one you go to, there's going to be a wrestler there.
It really is.
You know?
That's true.
I'm sure when you go to Boston, there's probably going to be at least one wrestler there.
Well, probably two.
Well, you can count Stephen Amell. He wrestled. Fuck, you know.
It's on. Stephen Amell, I'm coming for you, brother. Boston. Fucking on, brother.
But other than that, I really don't have much else to add.
I'm gonna add a little more sorrow to this.
Okay.
Unfortunately, have to mention King Silver. Did you not?
Oh, Silver King. That's right.
Oh my God! Oh my God! I call him Silver King.
He died in the ring.
Dead in the fucking ring, and I want to talk about that. What an awful referee and fucking hoovitude. You telling me you don't see there's something wrong with that and you're gonna carry that on for another fucking minute and a half?
Yep. Yeah, that was horrible.
Where was this? I'm a wrestling fan. Where was this? Awful.
Yep.
As soon as whoever it was, and I'm sorry if I'm disrespecting him, but whoever it was that died in the ring with Rey Mysterio, Conan was out there like that.
He knew that something was wrong, and he made sure that everything stopped. Yep.
I mean,
how do you not notice that something's wrong? Like, you have to know.
He
at that
slumps
point.
right down.
Yep.
He gets up. He's starting to get up. You should know the fucking some of the spots. Like, even if you don't know the spots, you should know. All right. Well, he's laying there.
Yeah. Yep.
I thought
he's not selling. You know, he's obviously laying there.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought that was terrible.
Yep. I should have written that down.
I don't know what made me think of that, but
yeah,
he was in Nacho Libre. Nacho! I did not mean to squeak like that, but I went with it.
It was pretty amazing.
Was it good?
Yeah,
I went up an octave there.
But yeah, I'm really excited for Mr. Man. Like,
I am too.
I know I keep going back to it, but it really is. I think it's going to be something a lot of fun for people to check out.
It'll be cool, and it'll be something different because we've never. I mean, we had a guest on here, Marcadius.
Right.
But
that's not really an interview. He was just, he was part of the show.
Yeah, dude, you sucked. Is that what you meant?
No, that's not what I meant.
Good God.
But I think going in depth into who he is and what he does, I think is going to be how he got into the business, stuff like that. I think is going to be really cool.
No, I'm excited for it as well. He's got dogs at his house. I know he said that, and I'm excited. And normally, like when I go somewhere, I kind of expect people to have food. For like general hospitality, so
right.
I'm hoping you got some grub, brother, because I'm gonna be hungry.
But he was in the Navy as well on submarines, which I would actually like to get into as well, because my grandfather was in the Navy during World War II. So
I used to be a seaman as well.
If we had credits, we might as well fucking roll them right now.
That was good.
I think we're going to end on that. This has been The Wrestling Ring. I'm Deadly Dave.
I'm sometimes Ace Williams.
And check out our podcast wherever you can find it.
It's on these platforms.
We'll hand you out a flyer at some point.
Yeah, seriously, we will. Here, take it.
Thanks for checking us out.
I don't know when to stop.